Hello, everyone. This is Kid Hero here, and today I wanted to say hello and welcome back. Today is kind of a random live stream. I first wanted to say hello and send a message out to all my subscribers, and I know we're considerably small, but it's still very important for me for those that have been showing their support. As far as what I wanted to talk to today, I wanted to first say kind of why I just kind of stepped away. I was actually very busy supporting a lot of the youth in my community, doing different type of projects within the community and outreach as far as STEM and everything. I'm very excited to come back because I think a lot of the lessons that I learned while I was helping other youth can definitely be beneficial for those that are also interested in working with youth themselves, maybe in your community, or maybe if you are a youth, to provide a little bit of helpful advice without being too overly preachy. I like to keep things a little bit loose, and I know everyone comes from different backgrounds, but I think a lot of people who could do good in their community, they doubt a lot of the talents that they have or the strengths that they have. And I think it can be very beneficial, especially when you're trying to help out other people or people in your network, whether friends or family. Uh, Meeting new people is definitely great, and then impacting the lives of youth and others is definitely something that is worth noting, and sometimes it's often overlooked. I think with working with youth, I myself have worked with youth for about 10 years in my community, and the age range that I normally work with is in between grades 3 through college. If I had to choose what grade level that I preferred to work with, it would be something that's very tough for me to give a clean answer for. I think as far as elementary school classes that I do teach, I think there's something to be said with the excitement with introducing them to new types of STEM activities or different types of activities that include science, technology, engineering, and math. And by the way, I'm using a new setup today. So the sound should be considerably better than what it's been in the past. So I'm kind of excited to use this. I kind of have a new setup. I'm using the PodTrack P4 by Zoom. It's not sponsored, but if by chance you appreciate the quality of the sound, it's definitely because of that. But going back to what I was discussing in regards to what grade that I like, I think the easiest ones to work with are definitely the elementary and junior high. The high school is definitely really cool to work with as well because you can do more advanced projects, as well as when you have students that have either the strong foundation of actual like knowledge and facts, then it makes it much easier to build upon it than if students that are first learning, or maybe they don't have the motor skills. And if you take a look at my hands, I'm actually remodeling my bathroom, so I have like lots of paint and everything. So I wanted to be able to take a break from not only the normal stuff that I've been doing and kind of really catch up with the things that are most important. And I think being able to hopefully share some of my experiences. And I know some of the videos that I've done in the past, I really enjoyed making those. I think it's also important to provide value to you, the listener, with something that could be, pertinent or potential to have value for you in the future. And I wanted to do just that by kind of reading a few things that I've been writing down. I have a book that I've been writing down if I ever learn something that's really interesting with working with students, or if I'm mentoring them one-on-one or in a group setting. specific key points that I like to leave with them. That way, hopefully, they can develop their critical thinking skills and make better choices in the future. So, one of the things that I often start off with, and again, these really aren't in any particular order, um, and I think all of them actually carry weight as far as the importance, but we'll just start with the first one and kind of go from there. Again, all this advice is open-ended. I don't try, when I give people advice of any kind, whether if I'm mentoring or not, I allow my mentee to make their own decisions off of it, because when it comes to even young adults, youth, whether I'm mentoring another adult or a young adult, I think it's important to acknowledge that everyone needs to walk their own path, whether, when I'm mentoring them or not. But I try to even treat youth like an adult. Not only that way they know that I respect them and their time, but they're eventually going to need to make decisions on their own. And while the decisions that they're making, if they allow me, I try to give them the advice the best that I can. But at the same time, it's still very important, especially from the position of a mentor, to really acknowledge the impact that you make, for positive or negative. And I think that's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very challenging, because when you're in the mentor position, you have to be very careful of what you say, because especially when you're working with a person or a youth that is taking everything that you say in like a sponge, you definitely don't want to give them bad advice. You want to give them sound advice. That way they can make better choices. So we're just going to go ahead and get started with the first one. And this one's titled The Most Valuable Assets. The most valuable assets in your life are time and health. Once lost, you cannot get them back. And the reason why specifically time and health are most important, I think even when I was a teenager in high school, it seemed like, especially at that time, I had far less responsibility than I do now. And that's definitely something I think even most adults can at least acknowledge. And I think while there were responsibilities as far as doing your homework, if you're trying to get into a good school and everything else, you definitely want to perform. But I think there's something to be said when you can allow a child to be a child and allow them to at least enjoy their childhood. So while I personally don't have any children of my own, it's still important, or I acknowledge the importance of providing structure for a child. That way they can make sound decisions as they get older. But at the same time, you don't want the child to bear the full burden of the world, especially when they're still trying to figure things out. So as far as youth, teaching them the importance of time and health, especially when you're younger, I think one of the most difficult things to teach a youth is the concept of time. Being able to draw on your experience when you get older is definitely a valuable thing. So one thing that I can kind of segue into that is understanding, and again, most people don't like public speaking. So it's one of those things, if you practice it over time, then you're more likely to get better at it. You don't necessarily have to be the best at it, but you will get better. And I think if you understand all of the mistakes that you make over the course of your life, and then just try to improve off of each of those mistakes that you make, still acknowledge that you make them. You don't necessarily have to be like, oh man, I really messed up there, but being able to recall all those successes or all those for failures is really important. And I think it helps you grow as a person. And while I've made tons of mistakes over my life, still taking all those positive and negative moments from when I was very, very young until now has helped me, improve the way that I speak or I'm able to speak over time. So that's why time is one of the valuable assets that I had mentioned. The other one is your health. And again, there's something that can be or should be admired about being very young is the feeling of being Superman or Superwoman and the idea of it being you against the world and not feeling the immediate, pressure of certain things. And I know there are some students that feel severe amounts of pressure, but I think it's very important to at least acknowledge that health is still very important. As you get older, if you were to get hurt, it takes longer for you to recover. And while most people do recover from any injury or illness, it's still not guaranteed that you'll recover at 100%. So while health is one of those things that's great, it's always good to feel as if you're at your best or you can at least perform at your best. There are days when, even when you feel sick for just a few days, and how that can impact either your schoolwork, your job, hanging out with friends, or, just getting out of bed, basically. So I'll repeat that one more time. The most valuable assets in your life are time and health. Once lost, you cannot get them back. And if I was able to provide this tip to someone that I was actively mentoring, while they may be able to understand the health portion, time is one of those resources that even when you get older, it still becomes a challenge to manage. I think even when it comes to YouTube, such as other forms of entertainment, TV, radio, movies, video games, basically all of these different forms of media tries to grab a person's attention or gets you to use some of your time to engage in that media or in that content. And it's very important to be at least somewhat aware of what it is that you're doing on a consistent basis. Yes, it's important to take time for yourself to do the things that you enjoy, but at the same time, there are so many forms of media out there that are meant for the purpose of being a distraction. And sometimes those distractions can be warranted or good for you, but at other times, if you need to get things done, then it's also important to be able to manage your attention or your time and not spend it directly on those things. So I think, again, if you were going to mentor someone yourself or try to teach them that, the health thing I think most people can understand without any explanation. The time portion may be a little bit more of a challenge, but it's still very important to try to teach to either your children or a youth or anything like that. But that's definitely where I start at when trying to mentor someone, because I think these two things are not only a foundation for yourself, but also a foundation with working with other people. Uh, Understanding and acknowledging the value of your own time and your own health. And of course, when you begin to value other people's time who work with you, provide you advice or anything like that, then it allows you to basically show appreciation to others who provide you with help. I know that was a little bit long-winded as far as what I wanted to kind of explain in this short little live stream. But if by chance you found this interesting, feel free to let me know by smashing the like button. If by chance you agree or disagree, leave me a comment down in the comment section. Maybe when you were mentored by someone either in your own personal experience or someone that you were working with, maybe the way that they taught you could definitely help out someone else. And I think that's the type of value that I would like to provide for others, especially if somehow, some way, you were able to find this video in the whole mix-up of YouTube community. But I hope everyone's having a wonderful week. I'm looking forward to coming back and providing other little gems of information that could maybe help out other people. But I think with that, we're just going to go ahead and end today's live stream. I want to say hello to everyone, and I'll see you next time.